there, brilliant people. So today I want to talk about emotional mastery. And I want to talk about this because it's actually one of the primary keys if you actually want to master your intuition. Emotions are actually one of the things that can block our intuition from working. That's because it both fires off the limbic system of our brain, which tends to cut off access to our intuition because it tends to put us in a very reactive mode. And it's also why a lot of traditions say that you can't use your intuition for your own benefit, which, obviously that's not true. However, when we're feeling very emotional about a situation, it does make it much harder for our intuition to work effectively. And that's because it starts to get that much harder for us to tell the difference between our imagination and our intuition because we so want that thing to be true. So being able to gain a level of emotional mastery is really important for our intuition. It's also helpful for our relationships and for work situations and for handling crises. But I'm mostly talking about it for your intuition. Right, so what is the first step with emotional mastery? Because that's what I want to talk about today. So learning to tell the difference between physical sensations in your body and the feelings. Because those two things are very, very much linked. In fact, they're so linked that there's a whole kind of modality that is based on those linkages. And that modality is NLP, or what they call, which stands for Neuro-Linguistic Programming. And part of NLP is exactly that, understanding that emotions are, sure, we feel them, but they're also linked to an internal alignment, but not necessarily the internal alignment that I often talk about, but the internal alignment in the sense of like how your body is aligned. So I'm just going to take you through a little exercise so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so if you clench your jaw and your fists and you tense your shoulders, how do you start to feel? There's a pretty good chance that you're starting to feel irritated, which is a mild form of anger. You might even have started to feel cranky or angry. Because when we're angry, that is what happens to our body. That is the parts of our body where we actually have anger. What the body does when the body is responding to anger. Okay, let's try another one. So if you slump your shoulders, you sort of imagine that there's a big heavy lump in your chest, and you sort of make your breath a lot more shallow. How do you feel then? Again, there's a pretty good chance that you were starting to feel upset or a little bit sad. Because when we're like this is how the body is when we're sad. I mean, it may not surprise you if you know anything about, body language, because they're the patterns that people are reading when they're reading your body language. Okay, so here's another one. Breathe fast. Sort of tighten up your upper chest. Again, you might start to feel a bit anxious. So, obviously that's not a good one to do if you have a tendency towards anxiety. But the important thing is even if you do have anxiety, is to recognize that some of it is really just coming from what your body's doing. And this is really important because it gives you one of the keys to emotional mastery. So first of all, if you just take your focus off the emotion and put it on your body and just ask yourself, right, what is my body doing? Is my body, how are my shoulders? Are they tense? How's my chest? Because and just focus on that. And then if you flow acceptance or, warm fuzzies or some energy, positive energy, hopefully, to those parts of your body that are feeling tight or restricted, you might find that your body language is starting to change. And in fact, your chest might be coming up and open, your hands might be coming open and relaxed, Your chin might be coming back over your head, your head might be coming back over your shoulders. It's much easier to feel hopeful, happy. And we even use, the term feeling uplifted, because that actually fits with a more positive body language. So one of the primary keys to emotional mastery is when we're in particularly those negative emotional states that don't help our intuition, by taking our attention off the emotion, focusing it on what our body is doing, and then flowing acceptance or positive energy to those restricted parts of our body, it can make it easier for our body to shift into a more positive state. That is one of the first steps to emotional mastery. And when you've practiced it a little bit, it starts to become easier to actually sort of short circuit that in a way and just directly flow acceptance to whatever feeling you're having. And just flowing acceptance to the feeling, you'll find it will soften the feeling, and in fact sometimes it'll help the feeling go away. But whichever, however much it works, it helps you be the master of your own emotions. And this is important when we're working with intuition, which is all about focus and intention. Because if we're in this emotional state to the point that our emotions are controlling what we're doing, we're not really setting a focus and intention for ourselves. It's kind of like our emotions are, which means that, it's coming from a more reactive space. So by gaining emotional mastery, by learning to flow acceptance to our emotions so we can get back into that more positive space that we want to be in, that supports us to hold that more positive focus and intention, well, we can use our emotional mastery to grow greater strength in our intuition, which can, of course, help us to remember that we're brilliant.